It's 5. People are starting to come on board. There's 3 groups that suggested they would present today. There are people from Kazakhstan, there's people from Thailand, and there's people from Indonesia, I believe. Also, they'd present, although I don't see uh, one of our presenters here. But maybe we could get started with one of the other groups. I prefer not to. Um, Maybe someone could volunteer to present. As I suggested, each group would have between 25 and Murney is here. So we have all our presenters are here. I didn't see her as I look on the screen. So we have people here from every group that would like to present today. So I think we should get started. Again, we'll have about 30 minutes to 35 minutes for presentations, several minutes for questioning and comments, and then we'll move on to the next group. Kesara, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think they are ready to present. Right?
Right. It's pretty exciting. We've
Mm.
it's been very challenging for you guys to stay up every night. It's been challenging for me to get up every morning and be here early, but we've made it, or we're getting towards that end. So congratulations, everybody. And now we get to reap the benefits of all the work that you've done and see what you've done. And hopefully it'll make a difference in the lives of the children in your countries and also in the lives of your teachers. So that's our hope, to improve STEM education in the various countries. So I'm not sure who wants to go first, but someone please take it away.
Joe May says so Darren on his way to get home. So can we be the last one?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think I will start the first presentation from Indonesia.
Thanks, Myrna. That's great.
Okay, so I will share my screen. Yeah, so we have 3 files presentation. The first one is the grand PD plan. I mean the main design. So as I presented before, that my university is located in Surakarta, Central Java Province, and we have the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education. So our training will focus on 2 levels of PD plan, first for the faculty members and the second one for the teachers. So the goals is actually probably the same with others. We would like to introduce to hope that the participants, our faculty members and also teachers will have the understanding meaningful learning by adapting the 3-dimensional concepts in teaching science, implement project-based learning by exposing the student to real and contextual experiences, create and design suitable artifacts, and ask various questions to facilitate students to think critically, and also direct all students to ask scientific questions to further create the driving question for doing an investigation about the scientific phenomena. Direct the students to design a free inquiry investigation, training the students to do scientific modeling and think about the relation of the variables they found in a phenomena, train the students to claim, use evidence, understand data, develop scientific reasoning based on their project or investigation, develop a rubric for assessing students' performance, develop their own lesson plan and implement at least one of the unit lessons that we introduce, and do a reflection of his or her teaching practices. So this is the target of our participants. Our lecturers around 32 to 40. We plan that each department will send about 5 lecturers, but we just informed the issue to our college in this faculty, and everybody want to join. So I don't know, maybe we have to think to have online training for the faculty members. So more lecturers will join. Then we also hope that our students in each department will also have the experience of the training run by the faculty members, and also we run the pre-service teacher training students. About 256 students are currently doing the pre-service of science education in my university. And for science teacher at lower secondary schools, around 50 teachers, we hope that will join continuously. So the agenda, first we have the training for pedagogical skills upgrade training that we put here, the learning goals that I mentioned before. And the content of the training will be introduction to three-dimensional aspect on teaching STEM, cross-cutting core idea practices and its implementation, about 2 hours. So we plan here, instead of just giving them the slide presentation, we have looked for the slide of NGSS practices, and we choose one of the slides to show them how this issue about cross-cutting core idea and practices work together. So after looking look at and watching the video, we hope that we will have the discussion to analyze the class or the three aspects. And then we also want to realize the participants about the Indonesia science curriculum and the possibility to implement interdisciplinary science and three-dimensional aspects. So this about 2 hours. Then we have the third topic, key elements of project-based learning for nurturing scientific explanation. Then at that time, we use the water quality lesson science as a example of the science class analysis. And then for understanding the scientific modeling, example also from the water quality. Then understanding scientific explanation is also from water quality and assessment. Then the last is developing a PD plan. The second part of the training is unit lesson-based topic, water quality, health in our hands and interaction. And the last part is implementing. So it means if the training for the faculty members, the implementation will be at university courses. Then our training method, the first training is mandatory. It means all the faculty members and also teachers have to join. And then we will run hybrid. Some of them will be online and some of the training is explained here in a rundown part. Some of them will be online. Then the second training, unit lesson-based training, is actually optional. So, but each participant must attend at least one of the unit lesson training. So we separate the unit lesson training with the pedagogical skills or general training. Then our artifact, or how to measure that our participants have already get the knowledge or skills from our training. The first one, we will do the check-in questionnaire to understand the prior PCK of participants. This one, we plan to have 30 items and about 15 minutes. Then we also will develop a worksheet to measure the understanding and competencies achievement of the participants. And we hope that the participants also at the rest after they joining all the trainings, the first and the second training, before the implementation, they're also able to develop the lesson design and also PD plan. Then we also have reflective journal. Reflective journal is have proposed to know the participant experiences, difficulties, impression, and how they learn. So this part will be our research team will use this document, other document also to measure the effectiveness or the successful of the training. And at the last, we have checked out questionnaire we check again the improvement of physical skills of the participants. So the last column is about the rundown of the training. We have here day first will be online training and the presentation of topic 1 and topic 2. And then day 2 will be online too. And then day 3 will be offline because we will introduce modeling. So we think that if we use online, it's quite, it's not really appropriate for them to understand. It's better to invite them to come to our university to have the offline training for modeling. And then for scientific explanation, this also there is a practices, so it's better to have the offline. And the last part is day 5 will be reflection and check out a questionnaire. Then the unit lesson-based training will be for water quality, 5 days, held in our hands about 3 days, and interaction is about 2 to 3 days. Then we will ask them to working on PD plan design for 7 days. Then the implementation of selected of the unit lesson or of the training PD plan on the weekdays according to or based on the courses that they have. And for the teachers, school teachers, we actually have the same, but here the unit lesson based training is mandatory. It means our secondary teachers have to join the 3 unit lessons: water quality, HEOH, and also interaction. For this case, we plan also on Saturday because we think we have discussed with the teachers that they only have time on Saturday. But in Indonesia, the school days until Friday. So Saturday is actually a holiday for the student, for the teachers. So we have the same program, but the difference is when we start the unit lesson training. For example, we start water quality for 5 days, and then we will have discussion and adjustment of the unit lesson and implementation at school about 5 weeks. Then for health in our hands, training for health in our hands about 3 days, discussion and adjustment, and then implementation 4 weeks. So we plan to run this unit lesson training, finishing 1 unit lesson and then go to the next unit lesson. So we do not go, for example, introducing water quality, health in our hands and interaction, after that implementation, but we will do consecutively, introducing water quality and implementation, introducing training for health in our hands and implementation, like that. So this is the grand plan that we will run in our training. And for the water quality, okay, so for the water quality, sorry. I lost. Oh, it's not. It's okay. I think this one. Yeah, for the water quality, sorry, this one, HEOH. This one. So for the water quality, the learning goals, we follow the unit lesson introduced by Anne, but we have some modification here. So day first, as I said before, we will have the 5 days training. Day first, they will introduction to the unit lesson, but some part of this training have been introduced during the pedagogical skills training. Then lesson first, why do you want to study water quality? What question can we ask about the water quality? This about 1.5 hours to explain the problem statement, group discussion, and presentation. So the case that we will introduce to our participant is about river pollution. Because of the waste come from the batik cloth industry, because our city is famous as a production or industry for batiks. And also the issue of septic rings. We use a lot underground water for daily life. And then also in our campus, we have polluted UNS lake. We have lake, it's artificial lake, but it's quite polluted. So it's a good example to learn about the water quality. So this part will be 4 hours, and we will share the worksheet, and also the participants will identify the water quality based on the phenomena that we will show them. The first, we also have materials such as video. The first video will introduce about water cycle, to introduce the importance of water and its cycles. And video 2, how experts determine water quality. So the last, the reflection part, participants will reflect by filling out the form. We will develop the reflective journals, so they will fill in the issue. Day 2 is we combine 3 lessons. The first one is about the pH, and the second one is about the temperature, and the last is about dissolved solid and also particles and in our stream. So we have here the challenge about lesson 4, because in Indonesia it's tropical area. So I think if we follow the activity they are introduced to her students, I think there will be difficulties, because our temperature is quite, what is it, the same temperature, around 30 or 70, 27 degrees every day. So probably we will look at to the example of different temperature. But for the pH, we think we will not have a problem here. So the participants will go to the area, to the UNS lake, take water sample, observe the ecosystem, and conduct water quality testing. So it also take about 4 hours, and the what is it? Evaluation will be the observation sheet, data sheet, and also experiment design. So we hope that the participants will decide or will do the free inquiry experiment. And then the day 3, they will learn about initial model. So at that time, we will introduce about the SAGE modeler. And the day 4, is there enough O2 to support life in the stream? At that time, the participant will go again to the lake and observe 2 additional indicators, then revising the model. And then day 5, final model, is our stream healthy for freshwater organism? So in this part, the participants will make a poster about water quality, and also do a reflection. This is the last day of the water quality. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, I have trouble in my internet. Oh, sorry, I have to stop first. This one is. Okay, for the HAIOH training, I just So we will conduct the training for 3 days, and each day is about 5 hours. The training will be like this. Okay, sorry. Here. So our adaptation of the Dr. Consuelo Health in Our Hands implementation. The first one we use the same, actually the same unit lesson, but we put some modification in some part of the lesson. The activities, the lesson or learning goals is similar with as I presented before. So here we will presenting the news about the case of diabetes among children in Indonesia, and participants will read the news in the, we already have downloaded the link in Indonesian language. And then they also will do explore their opinion about the diabetes case in Indonesia, and will watch the video about the daily life of Indonesian kids with diabetes, and explore what the impact of diabetes in child activity, writing down the idea in the table or in the worksheet that we prepared before. Then the next lesson is they will learn about the diabetes from the expert. We will show them the video how to check the diabetes because the issue is about how does diabetes affect the body system. So in this part, the participants will do the experiment to check the diabetes among the participants. And also they will discuss about the data, and read some literature to have more information. And the next will be family affect diabetes. It means we will show them about the pedigree. But in this part, we also think to invite one patient of diabetes, and the student will have the interview of them, and then make conclusion, or have the activity of using the pedigree. We also put here how does where someone lives and what she does affect her health. So we give them the article. We already have the article. And then the next, we put here the new ones that we will introduce them about the cultural eating, or the eating culture of Indonesia. So actually in our country, most of we like to eat sugar, even, and also this one of the interesting or maybe funny, because if we already eat rice, we still put it instant noodles in, so carbohydrate and carbohydrate. But this is the daily culture of our eating. And also we always drink sweet drinks. So we also put here the issue of sweet drinks, and the participants will identify eating culture that they know and put it on the sticky notes and measure the nutrition fact in in that issue. Then the next is asking we will bring some snacks, and then asking them to read the ingredients or to analyze and ingredients, put it in the table, the data of the ingredients, and then discuss and categorize which of the snacks are healthy for diabetes patient or to prevent diabetes. And then we introduce them about the modeling. And then the last part is how we can work together to make our environment healthier. Here, the participant will discuss and design about the Healthy School Canteen project. And the last part is review the learning process. So that's all for the health of in our hands. Here we plan to have the training for 3 days. The last is for interaction. I hope that will... Okay. So the interaction, as we will run the training for secondary, junior or lower secondary school, so we only have the two units. We do not use the unit 3 and 4. We only use the unit 1 and 2 for implementing the interaction. Sorry. So this is the unit that we will use, and our scholars, because we do not have a Vandergraaf as what is it tools, they are thinking to develop their own tools to have this discussion. So the activities will be introduction to interaction curriculum, discuss the concept in unit 1 and unit 2, and then after I think is follow the unit lesson here. So because these unit 2 part units is belongs to our lower secondary school. The rest of the training will be the same pattern or the same design with water quality and also health in our hands. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thought you did a very thoughtful, thorough, and clear presentation. And before I give any other comments, I thought I would go and see if people in the group had comments first, and then I have a couple of other comments I'd like to make. But I would like to start off by saying I thought you did a very thoughtful, thorough presentation. Very clear, very nicely done. Any comments from other people in the group? Let's have several people give a positive comment about what they thought about the presentation. You can put it in the chat. You can say it out loud. You can act it out.
Thank you, Mumi. Overall, your presentation was good, and I really like it. And I have a question in terms of the interaction. I'm sorry. And so my question is, why you decided just use the unit 1 and unit 2?
Yes. Yeah.
Because unit 1 and unit 2, it's all about the physics and the chemistry and biology part and the rest of the units. I'm just curious. So,
yeah. Yeah. So
overall, the presentation is good.
Thank you very much, Aiga. So unit 3 and 4 in if we look at the curriculum of Indonesia is actually taught at the high school level, because our target training only for lower secondary teachers. So it means it will be difficult for them if we also train them for doing unit 3 and 4. But another team also thinking to separate it, the unit 3 and 4, and then we will have the training for high school teachers because in high school in Indonesia, grade 10 we actually implement the interdisciplinary science. So I think it's also possible to implement Unit 3 and Unit 4, but the participants will be the high school science teachers.
I see. Thank you, Mommy.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Other comments from the participants? I'll throw out another positive comment. I really liked how you started off with your set of learning goals. I thought that was a very thoughtful and thorough set of learning goals that you presented up front to guide the various workshops that you presented. So I found that a very positive aspect.
Thank you very much, Prof. Joe.
There's several comments in the chat thanking you for your, as one participant says, as Louis says, thank you for your beautiful presentation. I would agree.
Thank you.
I have another comment. I think your presentation really showed and demonstrated how you really tried to incorporate many of the ideas that was presented the last couple of months. I really found that valuable. So talking about the 3 dimensions, using claims and evidence. So I really like that feature of your presentation.
Thank you very much, Prof. Joe, and everyone.
Yeah, I do have one question for you.
Yeah.
I was curious. So you're gonna do some of these last sessions will be hybrid. Is that correct?
Yes.
How do you plan on distributing materials to the teachers who are online?
Yeah. For the teachers, I mean, for the we have 2 targets, the faculty members that will be run hybrid. But for the second training for teachers is all offline. So we will not run a hybrid for our teachers because based on our experiences, if we run the training for our lower secondary teachers as an online, some of them will not join 100%. So they just off the camera and then do another things. So that's why for training the teachers, we will do offline. All trainings will be offline. But for our faculty members, we will run online. That's because we in our university currently we also use the hybrid systems. So some of our courses is run online and some of our courses is offline. So our faculty members get accustomed with the hybrid systems.
I really liked how you had the days broken down and all that kind of stuff, but you're gonna for the presenters, you're gonna have to go just one step deeper, right? But I think you know that. But this showed really good overall planning of what you hope to accomplish across the various days. I think the teachers in your country and then subsequently the children in your country will really benefit from the work that you and your colleagues have done. So very nicely done. I don't know if anybody else has, I'll wait a few minutes to see if there's any other comments, and then otherwise we'll move on to the next group.
Sure. The file, I will put it in the Google Drive that Professor Joe shared. May I put all the files there, then everybody can download it or access.
Thank you very much, Mjörning. That's a really good option. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Joe.
Okay, let's thank you once again for really leading us off with a very wonderful thoughtful, thorough, and clear presentation. And let's go on then. I think we're moving now to the Thailand group. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct. Okay,
Right.
Thailand is up. Are you going to present?
Yeah,
getting
I'm figuring out the way to share the screen. Okay, there you go. You all see that?
Yes.
Okay, right. Good evening from Thailand. So we are from King Mongkut University, and I'm now going to present the PD plan that we have discussed, and we have initially done part of the PD with our participants. So first of all, let me give you the overall picture of the PD plan of ours. So our team from KMUTT, there are 5 of us. So basically 5 of us are divided into 3 small teams. And one small team would go for health in our hands to get deeper understanding and to think how they can localize the learning module in the training. And we also have 2 members work on water quality, and 1 member work on interaction. And what we have done is that we discuss how can we use these learning modules and parts of the activity in order to form the training and the planning process with our pre-service teachers. And this is going to be the first phase that we are going to do, and I'm going to present in more detail today. After we have done with the first phase of the training, our pre-service teachers will have opportunities to go to different schools for teaching internships in 2 different terms. So we are hoping that they will use either part of the learning module or at least the approach, the CR approach in the classroom. And we are going to monitor them in 2 different terms. As you can see here, implementation 1, implementation 2. So basically it's going to be the follow-up process for the whole academic year. Right, now I'm going to dig deeper into the detail of the PD. So first of all, let me introduce our target participants. We have 15 postgraduate students who are pre-service teachers, and they are now in their first year preparing themselves for teaching internship in different schools. So in this term, we use different learning models. We use the learning modules as examples for them to see how learning activities can be aligned in coherence, and how to use real life phenomena in order to introduce the driving question for students to figure out the answer. So basically the first phase of the training module is to get them to know about the learning modules. And in the end, we would like them to see how they can apply this in their own lessons. They can use the CR model in order to form their own lesson. And then once we finish this first phase, we go into the implementation phase, as I discussed earlier. From 15 postgraduate students that we are doing at the moment, we hope that at least 3 to 5 of them would be fully committed to use the learning approach, the CR approach in the classroom, and also to integrate this in their lessons and make their lessons into a coherence in a theme. In order to do that, there are 2 different groups of people getting involved here. So the first one, there are 5 of us who are staff member at KMUTT and the postgraduate students that are taking part in this project. So in the first one, the first phase, it's a 5-day training program. So we have different goals for each day. And each of these goals will, in the end, build upon each other. So on the first day, basically, we would like to introduce to them the foundations of NGSS and 3D learning. But having in mind that half of our participants are students in mathematics education, so only focusing on NGSS might be too limited in terms of the science major. So we also look for a supplementary sources from CCSM, SSM, where we can find a great deal of similarity with NGSS, both the practices, they also have math practices, and also cross-cutting concept that can be aligned with NGSS. So on the first day, we introduce these 3 key concepts: NGSS, CCSSM for mathematics, and the 3D learning. So what we are doing on the first day is that we get together in the morning in order to introduce the scope of the project. And then we discuss about the NGSS and 3D learning. So this is led by our staff to introduce the concept of 3D learning, NGSS, and CCSSM. So the indicator for the achievement of this, since we have a small group of participants, so we use the discussion in order to tackle if our participants have any issue with understanding, or if they have any particular aspects that they would like to dig deeper. So what we learned from this one is that we just had this one last week, and we got to understand that our participants take a large amount of time to get their head around cross-cutting concepts. So I think for core disciplinary concepts, core disciplinary ideas might be something that they are familiar with. And we also, spend some time to talk about scientific practices, engineering practices, and to find the relevance with math practices. But we spent a great deal of time to discuss about cross-cutting concepts. So what we did was we devised our participants into small groups according to their major, and to let them explain the 7 aspects of cross-cutting concepts that they can see this in their own subjects. And we find a very helpful part of the discussion that we had. So after we introduced to them the NGSS and 3D learning, we take a break, and then after that we come back to do some group discussion. So in this group discussion, of course, we break them into the major subjects: biology, chemistry, physics, and math, and see how they can apply this 3D learning in the area. Again, the evidence of the achievement, we use the presentation, we get them in group and use group presentation as a way for us to find out if they can see ways to integrate this in their own subject. And then before lunch, we get them to think, here is the 3D learning. And if they are going to use these 3D learning approaches in their classroom, how they are going to do that. So this is just for brainstorming of the initial idea. So we would like to know what they have in mind and what they can imagine how to use 3D learning approaches in their own classroom. But this one, we are not expecting them, to talk about CER, to talk about argumentation, but we just would like to know who they are and what they have. So after we introduce NGSS, CCSSM, and 3D learning in the morning, in the afternoon, we come back to dig a little bit deeper about the learning outcomes set by NGSS. And we would like to convince the importance of using these 3D learning by pointing out the PISA framework. So we can see a great deal of alignment of PISA competencies and NGSS learning goals. And we would like our participants to be aware that if they are going to the school, they have responsibility. Of course, one of the responsibility is to deliver the lessons, but for some reason, the schools that our participants are going to work for, you have opportunity to do something about PISA in 2025. So we try to link this and try to make our participants aware that if they aim for PISA competency, using what we are going to introduce next would be very, very helpful. So after we discuss about PISA competencies, on top of NGSS and 3D learning, before we leave on the first day, we let our participants to see the gap between the Thai curriculum and the 3D learning goals in different areas. And we end the day by doing some reflection, asking our participants to envision their 3D classroom, how it's going to be like, what changes they have to bring in their practices, and what outcomes they think they can see. So basically the first day is to get them to think, get them to discuss, get them to be aware and understanding of three-dimensional learning. So the indicators of the achievement on the first day is the discussion and explanation about NGSS, 3D learning and math practices, and also cross-cutting concepts in different disciplines. We also tackle their active involvement in the discussion, demonstrating their ability to apply the concepts. And the initial discussion about how to create 3D lessons in their class, what changes they are going to make, and of course the identification of the gaps in the current curriculum in Thailand and in NGSS. And the last one is the suggestion for changes that they think they can do. So after finish the first day, the second day of the workshop, we come closer to the learning modules and the 3D learning lessons. So there are two primary goals on the second day. The first one is to expose our participants to the examples of the learning modules and to get them first-hand experience to a part of the learning module in order to know how to use the CR approach in order to in order to construct scientific explanation. So in order to achieve these primary goals, so we break down the activity like this. So the first one, we spend about an hour to give the overview of Health in Our Hand module. So basically this one is to talk about the 7 learning sets of the module and to introduce the driving question of each learning set and see how each learning set can connect to each other. And then after they see the overall picture of the module, we get them to work in groups after the break to experience one learning set, which is the first activity of the learning set, in order to practice how to ask questions, how to construct initial models, how to plan further investigation, and also to use Sage Modeler to construct the initial models. So this one takes about an hour and a half for them to get to know the module and also to form the working conceptual models, factors that may influence or affects the health of Monique or our health in general. And before we leave, we discuss a bit from the perspective of teachers. So they are acting as students in this hands-on activity, thinking from the perspective of students, how they, what factors that can influence our health, and to develop initial models. And then after that, we switch them to think as teachers. If students are going to figure out whether this factor has anything to do with our health, how we as teachers can provide learning supports, learning materials, and laboratories if our students need to figure out something. So after we finish the introduction of health in our hands, in the afternoon, we introduce the second module. Then the similar approach is done with this module. So we spend about an hour, walk them through the learning module, and then to let them see how the learning goals are set and the three-dimensional learning approaches are integrated in the lesson. And after the break, we get to experience the first activity of water quality as well. Similar to health in our hands, we get them to think about the driving question, to form initial models, and practice using SAGE Modeler to link different factors to the central question, and to form to have an experience of constructing scientific explanation using the CER approach. And then at the end of day 2, we have a reflection and discussion session for them to think of the advantages or limitations to use the learning modules in their actual classroom. So on the third day, they would come back and to get to know the final learning module, which is interaction. Again, one activity will be chosen for them to experience, and then they again can see the connection of the different parts of the learning module, link that to 3D learning models, and also see CR approach. The key reason for walking them through these 3 learning modules would lead them to the importance of the afternoon session. This session, that is the discussion of the CER framework. We are aware that our participants, we have a constraint about being able to use the whole learning module in their classroom, because they are intern teachers and they have to teach and deliver lessons according to the requirement of the school. So they might not be able to fully implement everything, but they can choose parts that are relevant, or they can apply the CR framework in their own lessons. So in this session, we get them to discuss about the CR framework. What is the C? What is the evidence, and how to link, how to use the evidence to make sense in order to form the claim using reasoning process. And then in the afternoon, after they get to know about the CR framework, we get them to think about how they are going to revise their learning approach, the ones that they are using at the moment, by integrating the CR approach in their activity.
Can you hear me? You
Yes,
can still
we
hear me,
do.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To end the day, we do some reflection of the application of the CER model. As you can see, this afternoon we only introduced the CER approach, and for them to think how they can use this in their classroom. On the fourth day, this becomes more practical. It is when we allow them some time to create their lesson plan. So our 15 participants, we divide them into 2 groups to work together to form a lesson plan using CR approach. So they have options to choose part of the we have options for them to choose part of the learning modules in order to localize in their classroom to adapt something, or to use the lessons that they are going to teach, but adopt the CR approach. So on the 4th day, we get them into small group to work in group to develop their own lesson, the whole morning for that. And then in the afternoon, we like them to present the lesson plan and to get back from peers and also from us as facilitators. And yet they will take turn, group 1 and group 2, to do lesson plan presentation and get some feedback. So the indicators of achievement on this 4th day is the presentation of the lesson plan and also the active engagement in the feedback process. And after getting the feedback, we would like them to revise the plan before the execution that will come on the final day of the workshop. So after the plan, they have the activity to plan their own lesson. We would like to spend the final day of the PD for them to do micro teaching. So they basically just execute the plan that they had on day 4. So group 1, we will spend time with them in the morning for them to do some micro teaching, select part of the activity to demonstrate, and then to get some feedback and reflection afterwards. In the afternoon, we will get the other group to do something likewise, that is to demonstrate their lesson and also to get some feedback. So by the end of day 5, or actually it's the ultimate goal of this 5-day PD, is for them to be able to plan their own lesson using CER approach and the 3D learning principles in order to change the way they deliver activity in the class and to help students to be able to figure out understanding rather than just learning from textbook, and to get them to have first-hand experience in delivering CER-based lesson, and to discuss and to feedback this to their peers. So in the end, we would like them to integrate all the revisions in the plan in order to get them ready for the second phase when they are going to their schools, their assigned school in May this year. Actually, the participants will spend the whole academic year from May this year until February 2025 in 2 different terms. And we are going to have regular supervisions with the students in terms of planning their lessons, and also to do classroom supervision to go to see how they deliver the activities. We also work with mentor teachers in the school to help monitor our students, our pre-service teachers on a weekly basis. And every month we will do some formal observation, and we will organize online seminars for our committing teachers who use the CER approach in the classroom in order to share the experience to the other students. So we hope that in the online PLC, they would have something to share, or best practices or any challenges that they encounter. So that's the whole plan for the 2 phases of our PD.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I thought, once again, it was very thorough. I particularly and thoughtful. I particularly liked your emphasis on claim evidence and reasoning. It's sort of throughout your entire presentation. And one of the reasons why I really like that focus is because getting kids to be able to explain using claim evidence and reasoning is the essence of what scientists do in scientific reasoning. So I think it will be beneficial to your students, to your teachers, and then ultimately to your students. So I thought that was a really powerful aspect of your presentation. And so with that comment, I'm going to go on and see if there's other comments that people in the group would like to make.
For 3D learning, so what do we mean by 3D learning here? It's basically to have core disciplinary ideas with scientific or engineering practices with cross-cutting concepts. So basically, it's not 3D models, but to in one class, not just only teach the core content, but how are we going to help our students to practice scientific practices, asking questions, constructing explanation, or do some investigation by themselves, and to see, the activity they do and the content they learn, what are cross-cutting concepts, the themes that recur in different subjects. One second, please. Okay, yeah, I'll we do drop the presentation. Hands-on learning. Is it hands-on learning? Yes. So if I'm all right, okay. For CCSSM, so it's the framework. Let me show you this part of my document. Right. Of course, in GSS, basically we use science subject, right? But half of our participants are mathematics teacher. So only talking about NGSS, it might give the impression that the favor is towards science teachers. So we were looking for fundamental concepts which are relevant to core disciplinary ideas in science, and introduce this to our our math teachers. And the second one, we do have scientific and engineering practices, right? So we were looking for math practices as well. And we find out these 8 practices proposed by CCSSM. And we did some mapping of math practices and science engineering practices as well. And then after we finished this part, we were talking about cross-cutting concepts. And it's the area that I find very exciting, because here is the result. This is the summary of the discussion. I will always show you. So the 7 cross-cutting concepts were introduced to our participants, and then we break them into small groups in their own subjects and get them to think what cross-cutting concepts they can see in their subject. And these are the answers, the explanation that they can find, like pattern, cause and effect, structure and function. We get them to think and get them to share and explain this to the other groups. Yeah, so this is the way to for us to integrate CCSSM, because NGSS might not provide the, well, I might be wrong, but to my understanding that NGSS might not provide comprehensive framework for math teacher. So we draw a similar framework to introduce something similar to our math teachers, to get them to get them feel that they are part of this PD. We imagine your Thai curricula currently compared to your, can you imagine your Thai curricula currently compared to your PD plan? If possible, you can clarify your question, but to what I understand, can you imagine your Thai curricula compared to your PD program? So our PD program, we try to make it doable in the Thai regular classrooms. So we are aware that implementing the whole learning modules in the classroom might not be practical for the time being and for the constraint of the content. But instead of not doing anything, we would like to start changing something. And the first step that we move forward is to change each lesson from, lecture-based or ordinary science lab to be CER classroom, integrating three-dimensional in the class. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. Would you please share it to our reference? You mean the document that I just show? Certainly I can.
Yeah, I'd like to just jump in for 1 second. You did a very nice job explaining three-dimensional learning. I do want to emphasize one point. Three-dimensional learning, as was explained, isn't necessarily stressing hands-on. It does stress kids experiencing phenomena, but the focus is really on figuring out why the phenomena occurred. And that focus, as was explained, happens by using the 3 dimensions of scientific knowledge, cross-cutting concepts,
Tekun, rajin. Tekun.
core ideas, and scientific and engineering practices. So the emphasis isn't just on doing, the emphasis is actually on figuring out why something occurs, applying those 3 dimensions. So that's the big difference between just doing an activity, a hands-on activity, and really getting kids involved in figuring out or in the process of doing science, right? Science isn't about just hands-on. Science is all about figuring out why that phenomenon occurred, how to solve that problem. And that's the big difference.
Thank you, Joe.
No, I thought you did a really wonderful job. I was just trying to emphasize it because it's such an important message that I just wanted to repeat some of the ideas you expressed because it's so important.
Thank you very much for pointing out the usefulness of the micro teaching session. And I think,
Can I have one more question, please?
Go right ahead, Purinda.
Yeah, thank you. I'm also from Thailand, but we at Jula team has a different group of participants and different approach. And Ajahn Kak, you present with a wonderful detail, and I can learn a lot from you. And thank you. But I have one question on the from your program. You mentioned the NGSS, and you take quite a while to help your participants understand what's on the NGSS, but that quite different from Thai curriculum standard. Can you please share your perspective? How do you think this is important, and how this will help your participant to deliver the better unit, please?
Right. So let me show the beginning part of our discussion on the first day. Of course, to be able to, to change the way they teach, I think by introducing NGSS only might not be powerful enough. I think people will see that, okay, this is useful, but whether it's practical in classroom or not, people have questions about that. But we try to get our students to think of these 2 different learning outcomes that take from the same level of students talking about the same topic, which is genetic inheritance. So I introduced to the student learning outcomes A, and as you can see, observe and explain, characteristics of chromosome, explain importance of genetics, discuss genetic diseases. And I asked our participants, how do you teach in order to achieve these goals? So even though people talk different approaches, but you know, all of these outcomes can be achieved through passive teaching or lectures, right? But when we come to the second part of the learning outcomes, and we ask them to see the difference of the learning outcomes here, the first one, not just only to explain, but to use an argument to support supported by evidence, or to construct scientific explanation based on evidence, or to develop and use model to describe, such and such. And again, we ask students how do they think these learning outcomes can be achieved. So it's unlikely that these learning outcomes can be achieved by, passing on information to the students. And we try to discuss with them. So if you have opportunity to go to schools, of course, you have to follow this set of learning outcomes. But would it be possible for them to change something a bit, change the objective of the class, and use these objectives to guide the teaching practices that they are going to deliver to the students? So of course, they have to spend more time. They have to, plan more learning activities in the class, but the benefits will be on the students. So to come back to your question, we can't, just tell them, okay, just change or take into consideration NGSS, but to discuss about the, differences between the two sets of learning outcomes, and to get them to think which outcomes that they think might be useful to build the students. And of course, if they would like to go for, learning outcome B, we introduce the whole learning unit for them, right? But if they know that, okay, they don't have time to do everything, they still have the second plan, that is to use the CER approach and integrate this in their classroom bit by bit. So they can, they still have to, complete all the learning outcomes and the learning content required by the curriculum. But the way they deliver the lesson, the way students interact in the class, the way students figure out explanations to the phenomena might be, necessary change in the class.
Thank you so much. I learned from you. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank you very much. Because of time, we are going to have to go on to the Kazakhstan team, but I thought you did a wonderful presentation, and I really like the idea of us sharing our materials with each other. So people, if the presenters could drop that information into our Google Drive, that would be very nice. A very nice presentation. I appreciated
Thank you very much.
And very nice explaining at the end. You had a lot of tough questions to respond to. So that's a very nice job. All right, let's go on to the Kazakhstan team.
There are some problem with the connection, so probably I will share the presentation.
Okay.
Let me make it bigger. Do you see the full screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Oh, all right. So we kind of already shared a couple of times our presentation before, and this is our overall, but it's not completed. I guess we will make some changes as well. So the purpose of the program is we are hoping to train the university teachers and the pre-service Kazakh school teachers in modern methods of STEM education and their effective use of in professional activities. So program objectives will be the contributing the development of national agenda, implementation of the points of roadmap in terms of developing STEM education in Kazakhstan, as well as the competitiveness of STEM teachers through their professional development program. And then another contribution would be the international and local teachers collaboration and online community of STEM educators, and the opportunity of multiple acquired knowledge and experience in local online communities and training students of pedagogical universities. Contribution the economic effects for teachers through advanced training. Teachers will receive an increase in their salary. They can also become STEM trainers in the future. So expected result would be improving the quality of education in Kazakhstan, increasing professional competence of teachers, integrating of technology into the educational process, stimulating innovation and creativity, and preparing for the future professional challenges. So we see our target audience going to be the university teachers and the teachers of Kazakhstani school. We are planning to do this course in hybrid, so it will be in online and offline. So this is a program structure. The first 4 hours will be dedicated for the introduction. We're gonna introduce to our listeners or participants from the university instructors and the Kazakhstani school teachers. The goal of the course, and then importance of making the scientific explanation, as well as the core using the disciplinary core ideas in STEM education. And then our program will be divided for 3 parts in terms of the units. The first unit will be dedicated to the interaction, the second unit to the water quality, and third will be about the health in our hands. Each unit will consume. I don't know. So they will be divided for 20 hours each. And then we have the completion hours where they will give their feedback about the course, and they will complete their home task as well. And we will also have the 28 hours to the course support. So totally it will be 100 hours. So in Kazakhstan, it's important to make the course no less than 7 hours. So, to be considered as self-development courses or strengthening pedagogical expertise. So introduction part will have 4 steps: the planning the STEM teacher, planning for STEM teacher education, then selecting the methods for interactive teaching of colleges, and then organization of group processing, creating a safe and open atmosphere during the training, developing active listening skills, and providing constructive feedback, and then assessing the effectiveness of trainer. So we will introduce our participant with those 4 steps. During those steps, we will identify our target audience and make with them the kind of group in terms of their knowledge and background, and then review the methods like case study method, PBL method, and others which is existed in STEM education, and then do the SWOT analysis, identifying the strengths, weaknesses, obstacles of their STEM education, and do other approaches in terms of implementing this program. So the first unit would be the water quality. It will consist of 20 hours. And there are 20 hours, and this is the goals. So each lesson will have their own goal, and the first is the science education concept. In this unit, our trainers will try to explain for our audience the understanding of the cross-cutting concepts, scientific and engineering practices. They will do they will plan research and do the case study. So during this unit, they will have own local problem they will solve, and then they will also do the during the scientific engineering practice of collecting data. They will do our own research and book dedicated about 4 hours, and then so each lesson. So there are 5 lessons, and each lesson has own goal and expected results. And water quality also will integrate it with the unit. I mean that the content of the unit, which were introduced by Anna, but not all of them. The water quality will be more customized in local context. So the approach that they will use, it's going to be that they will do the small group brainstorm and classroom sharing. So they will work in a group, develop the projects by using the artificial intelligence, statement of problem, and define the context. So also they will use the PBL, problem-based learning approach. They will set the goal, and they will try to solve the problem with the water quality in our local context. They will do some measurements, measuring the pH, measuring the quality of drinking water as well. Use the CER and modeling as well, and the last thing is going to be the engineering. In part of the engineering, they will try to make some model. So this is the name of the lessons, which is aligned with the unit of water quality from these our workshops. So each lesson has their own method they're gonna they do, and the question they will solve. And our key point was that we tried to make align with our Kazakh national standard of education, and we find out some goals in our curriculum, in our local curriculum, and those lessons will be aligned with our national standard. So next unit is the interaction. It also will have the 20 it also will consist of 20 hours. And the first of all, in first 2 hours will be dedicated for the scientific. We will try to give them our listeners the meaning and the understanding of the making the scientific explanation, and then the key concepts of the teaching STEM lessons through real world phenomena. And as the interaction is consist of from different units with the different disciplinary core ideas within the biology, chemistry, and the physics, we decided to use the 3 units, but not all of them and not all the investigation. We made the align with our national educational standard, and we will partially implement those investigations from the Concord Consortium to our course here. So that was our main goal. So the first 2.2 will be about creating physics lessons based on unit interaction. Next part will be about creating chemistry lessons based on interaction unit, which is more about in unit 4, the investigation one. So, and then biology lesson will be consist of the unit 4, and then investigation 1 and 2 within the Concord Consortium, the materials there. So approaches, what we're going to use, the interdisciplinary approach. We will make sure that our listeners will get the idea of a STEM education, and using the core disciplinary ideas of the physics, chemistry, and biology. We'll try to give them the sense how was the interaction model unit was designed in advance. So and explain them about the understanding of the real world phenomena. And then they will do the problem-oriented, we will make the problem-oriented approach, group discussion, and also we will make the group and divided them, like biologists will be in one group with a physicist will be in one group with a chemist, to have a more sense and to make sure they will go through those units and help each other. And learning outcomes will be in interaction unit that teachers or educators will be able to adeptly integrate concept of phenomenon. They will work with the driving questions, and they will know how to apply the claim evidence reasoning. And in terms of the force, matter, atoms, and bones, and how all these particles stick together or combine, and then foster the critical thinking, problem solving, and scientific reasoning skills. So they will, we will make sure they will get the understanding of the importance of making the scientific explanation. The third unit is Health in Our Hands, also dedicated the 20 hours, and the Health in Our Hands has their own guidelines. So Health in Our Hands the teachers will be introduced with the local some problem with the diabetes, and then they will be introduced the local story from one teenage boy who has a diabetes, and through his story they will go through this Health in Our Hands units, and each step is more in first step they will discuss the relevance of study health in our the health status of population of Republic of Kazakhstan. They will know some statistic about the diabetes, in Kazakhstan, and then they will contextualize in understanding the childhood and adolescent diabetes through the story from the teenage boy, and then develop the understanding of causes of diabetes, and through the learning information, solving the problem. They will try to help that boy to go through and through his story to solve that problem, and of course the communication. So this is the boy. He's actually, I think, the adolescent. So this is a real story about the Nail. Our teachers will be introduced with his story. This story will give our listeners the sense of the recent current issues with diabetes in Kazakhstan. Later on, they will use articles related to this topic do some statistical and gather the database information, and then they will go through different approaches like modeling. They will try to understand how diabetes occur and how genetics works in terms of that. And when teachers will give that lesson, they will use those tools. In the end, they will use the facts, ideas, learning issues, and action plans. They will collect the facts, use the ideas, and then do the action plans, how to help that boy or teenage person. And then the last step is the completion. All our listeners will develop lesson based on the presented units using STEM methods. So they will use the claim evidence reasoning and also make their own scientific explanation and use their scientific practices to solve some particular problems or the questions that they have within the unit, whether it's unit interaction, water quality, or health in our hands. And we also dedicated some time for the post-course support, since this is going to be 72 hours course, and sometimes it's not enough, I should say, to give a real sense of how science should be done and how proficient will be to make a scientific explanation. So that's why we will do the post-course support, and there are the list of what kind of support we're gonna do: mentoring, professional development, the evaluation. They might evaluate, do the peer evaluation, or they might assist, not assist. They might attend in each other classes and also give the feedback. And we were hoping to build the community of the teachers or the listeners of our course as well. And in terms of keeping the knowledge and making more contribution in terms of developing the STEM in Kazakhstan. So that's it. Thank you. And it was noisy a little bit. Sorry.
Thank you very much for a very thoughtful and thorough presentation, particularly since I think you weren't supposed to be the lead presenter. So thank you for presenting on the spot. That's always very challenging to do. I really like how you and the members of your team try to modify and adapt some of the units to better fit the Kazakhstan context. It particularly comes through very nicely in the Health in Our Hands unit, right? So I thought that's a very nice feature of some of the work that you're doing, really trying to tailor the professional learning and the units more towards Kazakhstan itself. I have a couple of other comments, but before I present those, I will see if others in the group have comments as well. What comments do we have for Agama and the Kazakhstan team? Once again, you can put your comments in the chat and Agama can respond, or someone else in the team could respond. So there is a question for you in your in the chat. It says, can you elaborate more, a bit more detail on your STEAM approach through your unit designation?
Okay, so we are several. We are kind of big team, so 8 people here, and each of us were divided based on our background, and each unit. I think this is some unique part. Our each within one course, our units, they are not like similar. They are different, and each unit has own approaches. In our interaction unit, we are planning to use the CER as well. This is a core point of our workshops, and also the Concord Consortium, I guess, was based on this idea of the making a claim, making a right claim, making the gathering the evidence and then reasoning, as well as the water quality. Also, they will be based on the CER approaches, and also the. I'm sorry, Darren, could you? Oh, all right. So I should pick up. May I?
Sure, go ahead. As we're waiting, do other people have any general questions or comments for me or for Kesara?
Hi, Joe. I'm
Hi.
I'm just wondering if you know about CCSSM. Do you have any recommendation about the materials and the way they propose about math practices, which are quite similar to NGSS?
I do know about the Common Core standards.
Mm.
They were developed prior to the NGSS
Oh.
guide the mathematics curriculum in our country. There is a big difference, so they do have content standards and they do have practice standards, as you pointed out. And there is some overlap between the modeling practices in Common Core State Standards and in NGSS. There is a really difference between the two documents. In NGSS, there's the stress of integrating. If you look at all the performance expectations, they always integrate a cross-cutting concept, a practice, and a disciplinary core idea together, right? So the standards are expressed as a performance based upon the integration of all 3 dimensions. That's not true in the Common Core standards. They have practices, they have content, but they never integrate the 2.
Right.
So that is a big difference. It could be the case that NGSS came after them. And remember, the NGSS was based upon the framework for K-12 science education. And that team really dug into what did the literature have to say. And it really came down on the premise that if we're really going to support kids in learning science and being able to do science and be able to use their knowledge based on the literature and based on evidence, it really shows that you have to integrate practices with content and if you're really going to promote learning. So that's a really big difference between the 2 documents.
Thank you very much.
Are there other comments related to the Kazakhstan presentation? I see a lot of thank yous. Well done. Certainly that was a well done presentation. particularly since I think she had to present on the spot, but
So I'm back. I'm sorry again.
no problem.
So I might share the presentation again quickly. And so there are some, as I said, so we are like a three small team, and each team has set their own goal, which is aligned with the big goal. But within that unit, each team has their own approaches and our vision of delivering the knowledge to their listeners. And for example, here Health in Our Hand, they will explain the unit through the storytelling and helping to solve the problem to the boy, and then they will do the statistic methods to work with the information which is existed in network, and then also they will do some modeling the diabetes phenomena and like getting the quantity about the types of diabetes as well, and then also some other approaches here you might see. And in terms of water quality here, they will use the SAGE modeler, and they will, I know they will do the scientific engineering practices, and in the end, they will try to create some model which will help to clean up the water. So that's why they will do the more scientific and engineering practices as mentioned here. In terms of the interaction, as I mentioned again, so we will use the claim evidence reasoning. And also, so since we know the Concord Consortium is like totally in English, we are also thinking about to replace some of the investigation with related laboratory works, which is in our Kazakhstan national standard. So it will be much easier to help them to do the scientific investigation. As the Joe introduced the Scotch type or other, so or we might do other laboratory experiments. Yeah. So there are different approaches, I should say.
You know, I have a question. Unless someone else in does another participant have a question? So my question is for you, is that I liked how you were going to focus on each of the scientific practices. On the other hand, learning how to use modeling and learning how to use CER is going to be new to everybody. So I wonder if that equal approach is going to support that effort. It seems like you might have to spend more time on modeling and CER than maybe on doing investigations. That's my question. You know, earlier on you had in your slides how one day you're going to focus on these practices and next day you're going to focus on these practices and next day on these practices. And I wonder if that's how that will help students learn how to use SAGE Modeler or CER, or does some of the other lessons also have those practices involved in them? Teaching the teachers how to use those practices.
So if I understand correctly, your concern is like, is there enough time to understand those approaches? I mean
Yes, I guess that's my question. How is it? Do you have then to really support your teachers in learning those new ideas?
I guess that in there, so each in each each unit, and they will go through the like particular practices, and we will try to them explain, and like in our as like in interaction, there are not since there is this simulation, I get we will more emphasize them like a CER in each lesson, and they will have not circle. How I'm gonna say. They will probably have the couple of lessons. I mean the using the one method again and again, like in because like a there
like a cyclic.
Spiral.
Not spiral. I mean the like in simulation there are some the topic. Each simulation has own goal for the certain like experiment there, and then we will just help them to make the claim before the lesson, and since they will go through the couple of simulation each lesson, they will get the understanding of using the more proficient the CER, and the same thing will be with the other approaches, but it's my just like a hope.
Can I add something? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Can you
Go
hear
ahead,
me?
Darren.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say a lot of thank you, Ayhanam, because actually I should present it, but on Wednesday, each Wednesday, I'm on my way to home. For example, I am still on my way to home, first of all. So to your question is, one of our aim was just to show a lot of approaches what teachers can use at school, and then if they are interested, we are going to create some detailed, maybe several courses. For example, one course for CER, another course for maybe total course for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months for water quality unit or for interaction. So one of our goal was just to show that it exists. This is why we chose several approaches.
Right. I wonder if there's some way to ensure that more teachers get to use claim evidence and reasoning. And the reason why I push on claim evidence and reasoning is because it really pushes kids using the scientific process or scientific reasoning in their work. And that's the part that I find so important about claim evidence and reasoning. It's really, the reasoning part really stresses them applying scientific principles to really explain why that data explains the claim. And that's such an important part of science. I was just, I would, again, I don't want to put words in Kesra's mouth, but I think that's part of the goals that we're trying to foster, is really getting kids to use scientific reasoning. And so I'm wondering if there's a way to not necessarily make it optional, but to really say, look, this is something that needs to get done.
Okay. Yeah, I understand your concern, Joe, because personally, I implemented science evidence reasoning since day one. When I heard about it, it was super interesting, and even the students, like sophomore students, when I explained that method to them and tried to use on my laboratory classes, it was hard to them to understand that. And then when I tried the same method a couple of times, like the first week and second week, and then they get the idea how to do the scientific claim and then how to work with evidence and data and then reasoning. So I understood your concern about it, and we will work on it.
Yeah, it's just like you expressed. It's such an important part. In some respects, it is the essence of what scientists is, too, right? It's what I did when I was doing bench work. I was a bench chemist for several years, and that's what I did, right? I tried to make sense of the phenomena by making claims and evidence and reasoning. So I think it's a really important aspect of the work. Anyways, I want to thank you. I'm paying attention to time. I want to thank the three teams for presenting. It's always challenging to present to our colleagues. So I want to thank everybody. I really do believe or feel that the three presentations really demonstrated that the teams are picking up many of the ideas we spoke about because you're using it in your language, right? One of the best ways of knowing if someone has really learned is if they can talk about it. And so I think the teams have demonstrated some good knowledge of using some important ideas like claim evidence and reasoning, three-dimensional learning, experiencing phenomena. So I think this is a really, for me, it really made me pleased to hear the three presentations today. So thank you to everybody. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's presentations as well. And I don't know if Kesra or Buren want to add a comment or two.
No, I think yeah, I think the presenters have done great jobs, right? I think yeah, each team might have learned a lot from each other, that how they are going to deliver the PD, right? And I think the details, the level of details that you plan will help you out when you deliver some of the lessons next week. Yeah, and I think yeah, I hope that by exchanging the plan this way, we learn a lot from each other. Yeah, and I think yeah, I'm really delighted that we have made a large progress so far. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, everybody. By the way, I have one other comment, and this is something that was said. Most of the stuff in Concord Consortium is in English. However, if you really are interested in using Sage Modeler, it's very simple to translate it into your home language, and they can tell you how to do that. So if you're interested in having Sage be in English, be in your home language, send me an email, and I will get you in contact with Dan Damlin, who was the programmer was both a designer and a programmer of Sage, and he can help you do it. He's a wonderful young man. Well, he's not too young anymore, but he's a wonderful person. He can certainly help you in that translation process. It is not challenging. So that would be great for your kids when they want to use Sage to they go up and they see it in their own language. It really helps them in their work. It's been translated already in the Chinese, German, Turkish, Hebrew. So it's already translated to a bunch of languages. So it's a pretty simple process. So if you're interested, just email me and I will let you know. Okay, thank you everybody very much. I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow evening, bright and early in my morning. It's always fun for me to be in these sessions because it goes from dark to light outside. So I go from my nighttime to my daytime way. We're in these sessions. So great. Thank you once again. If you have any questions, please feel comfortable sending me an email. And I'll gladly respond to your questions as well.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the evening and a great day tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good
Bye
day,
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Mm.
Bye bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.